Okay, so in 2004 of April, I went back to Cambodia to visit for the very first time. After, I didn't grew up. I was born there, but I left when I was an infant during the Khmer Rouge War. And so our family traveled from refugee camp to different places. I would say our family lived in 5 different refugee camps before we came to the United States, and living in the refugee camp is really hard, and it's not easy, with the lifestyle, with the food. You have limitation of, how much food you're given to eat, and we had a family of 10, and so it was kind of hard, and we only get small place to grow, and my mom would grow some vegetables, but our home would be, half of this room, and we had 10 people it's like a little hut in a refugee camp. So, and we travel, and then finally in 1983 of July 13, we arrived to the U.S., and our first destination was here in Rochester, and I lived since 83 until now, so almost 30 years, and I really, enjoy living here, and I've traveled to different places, but I just feel like Rochester is a place. When I came here, I thought everybody had the same language, the way of communication. So I was put to school, kindergarten, and I started talking Cambodian to everybody. They're all looking at me like, what is this kid saying, And so I went back to my uncle and, my other relative that were here like 2 years before we did. I was like, why aren't people understanding what I'm saying? Aren't they Cambodian too? They're like, nope, you gotta learn English. It's like, what is English? And so they kind of explained, and so didn't even learn my ABC, or 1, 2, 3. And when people were taking a test, their math test, everybody was just going at them, but, looking like, what are they doing? And I didn't know the ABC. You're supposed to like draw the same thing, or I didn't know. They didn't have ESL program at that time. And then finally, I see kids playing soccer, and I love soccer. So I went to one of my cousins. I was like, how do you say you want to play soccer? She said, just go tell them I love you. So,
nice cousin.
She's like, just say I love you to them. They'll let you play soccer. Okay, I love you. So I was going to Washington school, and up that hill, and my house was just across the, living with my uncle. I ran up the hill. I was like, hey, didn't know how to say, hey guys, come here. It's just like waving, so they all come here. I was like, I love you. They're like, oh, okay. They're looking at me, just cry, And I keep on repeating, I love you. Like, they're all like walking away. They didn't encourage me to like play soccer with them. I was like, what did I do wrong? And they're all like, they're like, yeah, this kid is just whack. Let's continue playing soccer, that kind of thing. So I was like, ran back to my uncle. I was like, Uncle, why didn't they let me play? I was like, and he, understand more English, and so he was an interpreter, and he's like, no, you don't say I love you. He kind of explained that. If you want to, play soccer, I want to play. But it was so hard for me to say that. So it's like, it took a while for me to practice. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. Until I get you, and then I go up there again. I want to play. They're like, it's like, play what? In their minds. I point to the ball, and then they finally got that. And then my first grade, we moved to another house, and I had to go to Hair Bishop. And so one day my uncle, came from the store, and he got this clothes. It's like a pajama, one color, white color, and so he said, here, it's for you. So I was like, oh, so nice. It's all in, anything with, like one color is like really nice, because in our culture, clothes is just a clothes. We don't have, like here they call it pajama. In our country, we wear one clothes. Sleeping clothes is the same as your, you know, your day clothes. So he gave it to me, and I'm like, oh, got a new clothes, gonna impress my classmate, you know, because they always laugh. My mom made me wear the same clothes for 5 days before we changed. Me and my sister, we had to do that, change to another clothes. So a lot of the kids didn't really understand. They're always like, you know, sometimes they do this, and because they think we're stinky and didn't change your clothes, because my mom didn't want to clean the clothes. You know, she had to wash it by hand, and she didn't understand that in America you have to change clothes, and she doesn't know how hard it is for us to go to school. She thinks like school is just like back in Cambodia. People wear the same clothes for 1 week, and then they would, you know, when we get home, we would fold it nicely, then we wear another clothes, but we have to wear the same clothes for 1 whole week. Then we would change to another clothes, and I always get picked on, bullied by other kid, and they always call a name. And when I wore the pajama, the kid all start laughing at me. And I was like, I was gonna impress people, make new friend, you know. But when I walked into the classroom, I got a kid laughing at me. I didn't know why they were laughing at me. I was like, it's a clothes, you know. And I didn't know that this was a sleeping pajama. And so that day was a long day. It seems like forever just to, you know, like wanting to come home. And when I came home, and my uncle's like, you wore that to school? I'm like, yeah, I know how, you know, that's a sleeping clothes. And I'm like, oh, thank you for telling me after I wore it, you know. So learning the culture was very hard, you know. Everything is so, you know, structure, where in our, you know, you're just a kid, you're just gonna, you know, be who you are. But here, everything you do, other peers, they're looking to pick on you, to make fun of you. So then you're trying to adopt that culture. It's like, why is people being so mean? You know, in our culture, people are so nice. They share food, they give, you know, in the neighbor, they, you know, children play with each other. Here, it's like, don't play with that kid. He's, you know, he's not a good person or something. It's like, okay, and because, you know, and there weren't a lot of Asian at that time, and the fear of, you know, that, oh, they're, you know, they're just from the jungle, they're dangerous, they're gonna, you know, they don't know how to play safe, or, and then later on, you know, I found out that every time I was being discriminated and everything, and 4th grade is, you know, I was not shy, so much shy about going up and talk. They had a, you know, sharing time that time. Each morning they have sharing your story, and so one day I volunteer, you know, I told the teacher I want to, you know, volunteer to tell my story. And so everybody was sitting, and I, you know, tell them about why I was here, because a lot of the school was like, go back to your country, you know, we don't want you here, you're just, you know, worthless, or anything like that, you know, all these negative names that, it's like, and so finally I was like, just, you know, and I told them, I'm here, I came here, it's not because I wanted to, I was forced to leave my country, but due to a civil war, you know, people were getting killed, and people were, you know, because you were getting killed because you were educated, you're getting killed because you had light skin, you were killed because they think you were the enemy of the state. So all of these things, and a lot of my peers, classmates, even the teacher didn't really know why certain people came to America. And so I was like, you know, if I had a choice with the way everyone is treating me here, I wouldn't, you know, this is not a place that I would call home. This is worse than anything, you know. Maybe, I told them, I go, sometimes I feel like it's better for me to be killed than to come here and be treated so negative. And so finally they kind of, you know, had that sense that, oh, you know, that, and I go, the communication part is the one that opened the, you know, the bond between other, because if I didn't take that opportunity to communicate, to share my story with my other classmates, they wouldn't really know why I'm here. And a lot of time media really put a really negative into a lot of younger, a lot of the parents. And so they don't really know the whole story. And so a lot of time when people say negative thing, I convert it into a positive. So I don't really do negative to negative, because that's going to make the friendship can be really, negative. So when somebody say really racial remark, like they say, yeah, I heard about Asian eat the cat and dog. So I tell them, I go, yeah, back during the war, yeah, people did eat cat and dog to survive. I mean, you would eat anything in that situation, because in order to stay alive, you had to find different way of, I go, if you were in a war situation, I said that to all my class, I go, how would you learn to survive? If you rely everything is made, you go to a restaurant. What happened if there was a war here? Would you eat these things? People will start eating things that they will never want, that they never thought of eating. And that's what a lot of people, we ate bug, we ate so many things that even from root, there's different roots from the tree, even tree leaf. So we learn to, use all the material that are given by Mother Nature. And so that's the thing, I go, there's some that adapt to the taste after the war is done, and they enjoy and that. But if you were to go to a restaurant in Cambodia, you wouldn't see, a menu of cat and dog. But the war have taught people to survive, taught people to behave differently, selfish. That's one thing that war has taught people, is to be really greedy and only look after ourselves. Even my parents even tell me, but since I live here, since I grew up here, I see, people are so nice. After, like telling my story, at first I was thinking so negative, but after the communication part really opened up, I was able to communicate with others, building that friendship, and able to even go to friends' house that I was never once welcome in their home. And just seeing how, the family were treating me, how their kid, my friend would invite me to go birthday party, and how things started to change. I started to see more of a reality of kindness than, what is selfish. I was learned to be so selfish, and then living here for so long, I've opened up that, I was no longer the selfish person, but able to, be like everybody else. And, sometimes I want to say, yeah, I'm American, but then I know that I will never, my culture that I grew up here, yes, I'm American, but then it's my identity, my skin color, that when I go, they will say, you're Asian. That's the thing that, even now. But then when I went back home, I had this experience saying, I'm not Cambodian. Yeah, so when I go back home, when the first time, they're like, I try to talk, they start laughing at me. It's like, this is all going back again. When I say, all these, because my accent is very different, because I lived there so long, but I was still able to communicate. But they laughed. It's like, you're doing a good job, encouraging me, like, keep on, talking. So, but every time they're like, you sound like you're from Southern, like what we would say here, like I would sound like I was from a Southern, another part of the country, and it's like, but I'm Cambodian. So that some of them like shocked. They're like, I thought you were from, like a lot of them say I'm, like Hispanic or Mexican. And so when I start talking Cambodian, some of them jump, oh, you know how to talk Cambodian? If I didn't even say nothing, they would think I'm a foreigner. They don't think I'm Cambodian. So that's the thing that made me feel like, where am I? I'm not Cambodian, I'm not American. So I'm more, I always see like myself, I'm like a ghost. It's like I don't have a place that I call home. So then,